Hey people, just a really quick ThinkPad X1 Carbon 7, Carbon 8. What's the difference video? It's really basic. There's no performance stuff here.
Having probably seen our previous unboxing, you can easily see that this is a quite premium experience. Take it out. Even the packaging material feels very premium. The X1 Carbon with the 4K display gets you a carbon weave finish. Just to recap, so it's on the inside, the bezel is quite thin, and of course the privacy shutter is there, which is quite nice. In comparison to the T series or the X13, the speaker will be noticeably better, and the keyboard, they're quite decent. Wish that the click button is quite flat. Wish they were a little bit more rich, a little bit more additional travel would be really helpful. Obviously, it would be nice if the trackpad is a little bit bigger, but I think this is what you're given. External mouse is always possible, and the smooth texture on the inside is quite welcomed. You can see how thin this laptop is. Two Thunderbolt, one of which is next to the docking, USB Type A and HDMI port, as well as the audio jack. So really remarkably thin. On the other side, there's a USB Type A port, and that's it. On the Carbon 7 8, you do need to select the 4G option for there to be a physical slot at the back and also additional cabling. Otherwise, they're not going to be there. On the Carbon 8, we have the more standard FHD IPS screen. So this one, we have just the standard matte black finish.
Right, okay, so the lid logo has changed slightly, as you can see.
You'll notice on the new 8, the logo is combined, whereas it used to be separated. It doesn't make much difference at first, but after a while it might make more sense. The X1 definitely does look a little bit bigger than what it might reasonably be proportioned otherwise. It's understandable that Lenovo want to highlight the visibility of the X1 branding.
Moving on from Whiskey Lake, we've got the 10th gen i7 now. So it's in most markets, we're seeing 4 cores. I imagine maybe in some markets you'll see 6 cores.
It's actually quite hard to tell the difference between the 7 and 8 because they're so similar.
Right, so the F9 to the F11 key, still there.
So on the newer 8, you will have F9, F10, F11 as a new teleconferencing control. Whereas you can see on the old F9, F10, F11, for different shortcuts on the Carbon 7. This is called Unified Communication Control by Lenovo. Sounds like something from Dalek weaponry in the Doctor Who.
The charger has got a little bit more compact. It's like Christmas.
As we see on top, definitely more compact. I suppose this is more gradual enhancement rather than a unique selling point, and I suppose you can always go and buy one of these chargers eventually once it's available. 8th gen Carbon has a Wi-Fi 6 support. Going to be quite convenient if you have hardware to take advantage of it. However, if you're on a Carbon 7 or even 6, the incentive to upgrade may not be as strong for the Wi-Fi alone.
You've got an array of screens to choose from if you like choices.
The display option on the Carbon 8 has marginally improved. Both its privacy display option and also the touchscreen options have got 100 nits brighter. However, the 2K panel is no longer available in the European region. Looking between these two displays, it's clear that the Dolby Vision screen has more gorgeous coloring. However, it's also a little bit more reflective. As you can see on the screen, the keyboard is visible. On the matte 400 nits low power display, it's not as visible. Can't speak as to why the 2K panel doesn't seem to be available in the European region. It could be down to the panel availability. It could be that Lenovo wants to have a more lean stock. There's advantage there for them and their partners. The less obvious one would be to simplify the consumer choice. So if you suddenly remove one option from Full HD, 2K and 4K, it makes the buying process a little bit more straightforward. In our perspective, the Full HD is more than sufficient. The 2K, perhaps for some people, was the optimal point between battery and having some extra resolution. The 4K option in the last generation, it did dent the battery quite a bit. The machine almost transformed into a different beast in terms of both the gorgeousness of the display and also its power usage. The 4K is a glossy screen. That panel is still available and is still just really gorgeous. The IPS display on the left does fairly well. However, the Dolby Vision screen seemed to be a little bit more stunning in the sunset rendition. And also in the red area, when we look more closely, the color is better defined.
Just to wrap it up, I think when Carbon 6 came out, that was a really transformative product. Up to 4 cores and such a thin and light premium chassis. Carbon 7 built on that, but I think arguably Carbon 7, 8 are almost identical machines. And I think what has changed though is that the time, notice 2018, 2019, 2020. I mean, a superlative product in 2018 is probably still superb in 2019, but by 2020, unless you significantly refresh it, the normal assumption is that some competitor would try to have their own version of their same product. I mean, arguably, you can say that Carbon is still very much unique, very strong Intel collaboration project, I imagine. So that's why we're not going to see AMD model in a while. So if you do want certain things, then the AMD powered T14S is going to be there. But I think for some of the audience who traditionally want something deployed for them that just works, then I think this Carbon is still the really premium, expected model. I think until Tiger Lake comes, this is still the product that helps to tie Lenovo over in the premium sector. Every few years or so, you see a manufacturer does something really compelling in the ultra-portable space. I mean, with the Dell XPS, they keep on refreshing it with Carbon as well. And before that, it used to be the Sony Vaio Z series. What we're trying to say is going from 7 to 8 in the Carbon line, it's just really incremental. I think that's part of the intent because I think there's no big platform refresh until Tiger Lake. And even after Tiger Lake, part of the beauty of having something tried and tested is that you can make the Carbon eventually a more mainstream solution while you push on the Nano as an even more premium lineup. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how the different lineups sits. If this product had existed in isolation without Dell's 9000 series, 7000 series line, and also to a lesser extent without the existence of Ryzen, then Lenovo could keep on refreshing it. Just to say, is there anything with my face on? In this video, it would be shot on the webcam of the Carbon 8. It's a slight surprise. The webcam is actually okay on this one. We've already previously looked at the Carbon 7, and I think Carbon 8, as we've already said, is a really similar product. So it's probably unlikely for us to do any more detailed stuff on it. I mean, all in all, it's still a very solid system in 2020. And we hope this is helpful. Take care.